week. What's cooking, Evan? How are you today, kid?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic because once again, I have uniquely come up with a solution for one of our team's problems. And I'm quite proud of it, Evan, because no one else has suggested it.
I will be the fair judge of that.
Please do. As you know, over the weekend, the New York Giants lost Patrick Graham as their defensive coordinator. He decided to fly the coop. You could all, surmise and come up with your, inaccurate reasons as to why. But what doesn't matter, they're in need of a defensive coordinator. Is that correct so far?
That is absolutely correct.
And we've heard the names, Wink Martindale, Sean Desai, Jim Schwartz, and former Cardinals head coach, Steve Wilkes, correct?
Yes.
But as of this moment in time, the New York Giants, don't start smirking.
No, because I'm reading your mind.
Have not yet hired a defensive coordinator.
So reading your mind.
And the answer's so simple
I don't want to spoil it, but if I was playing a game of Wordle.
Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. I got to own this one. I got to take this one with me in case it doesn't pan out. It shouldn't be saddled to you like a weight, okay?
Throw me a pen just so I could write it down.
I don't have a pen. They stole all my pens.
I'll get one.
It's like when they take your shoelaces. They took all my pens. They're afraid of what I might have done with it. Ladies and gentlemen, the answer is obvious.
Let me just write it down real quick.
We have a lot to get to today, obviously, after the weekend and getting ready for the Super Bowl and the Jets coming off their coaching at the Senior Bowl. And, a little basketball. And someone is actually threatening a coworker of ours. And we have to get into that coming up as well because we're not going to stand for that. We're a team here. But the answer is so simple. If you are, just show it to me.
Should I show it to you?
Show it to me. Yeah.
Am I right? Really?
Incorrect.
Really?
So Evan thought I was suggesting that the New York Giants hire. Go ahead.
Rex Ryan.
No.
Huh.
So funny that you think Rex is always on my mind.
I do.
He is a lot. I'm not going to lie to you. And if they hired him, I'd be thrilled.
Really?
And I would sign up for that in a minute.
So you're not perking over the idea of Rex Ryan? It's somebody else?
Listen, I am always perking over the idea of Rex Ryan being involved with the team in New York because I love Rex Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. But the answer is, it's for some reason the way my brain works, this answer is so simple. The guy that the New York Giants should offer their defensive coordinator job to, and Giant fans would love it, is Brian Flores.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
Brian Flores. He was your number 2 choice for head coach. He has credibility as a coordinator. He doesn't have a job anywhere else. You proved that the interview was not a sham. And while you chose Dable to be the head coach, you thought so highly of Flores and how he interviewed here that you offer him the job as defensive coordinator. And sure, there'll be a huge portion of society and sports fans that will react that that's an embarrassing. It's humiliating. It's disrespectful to offer him a lesser job. I don't see it that way at all. You keep him in the game. It gives him a chance to get a head coaching job a lot better than sitting out for a year. You prove that you're not racist. You improve your defense.
You think that proves it?
Well, yeah.
Or unproves it?
It doesn't hurt.
Disproves it?
It doesn't hurt. But for Giant fans that wanted Flores to be the head coach, or certainly thought he and Dable were the 2 best candidates, and whichever one they chose, you were good with it, I'm giving you a chance to get both.
Yeah, what you're doing actually is very similar to politics. You're saying I'm going to take the person that finished second in the primary and have them be my running mate. That's what you're thinking.
Exactly.
It's Reagan Bush all over again.
I don't see, other than the obvious, there'll be a little backlash about, you're diminishing his ability as a head coach. But here's the reality. He's not getting a job as a head coach. I think that's very clear right now. The Dolphins hired their guy over the weekend. The Texans look like they're hiring Lovie Smith, not McCown. That takes care of their job, which would leave the Viking job, right? Which isn't going to be filled until after the Super Bowl with McConnell.
Yeah, it's basically the Saints job is the only one
Saints job, pardon me, right.
Yeah.
So, listen, maybe the Saints hire him, but let's just say for the sake of the argument, they don't. Mm-hmm. And I know they did say publicly he had a great interview there. I'm giving Brian Flores a chance to stay in the game. And I think, and I'm not doing it because, I'm just going to do it for the sake of doing it. It makes me look good. We love Brian Flores. He was our second choice for head coach. If I could bring a guy like that in here who's a man of great self-respect, who's a man that didn't, according to his at least accusations against the Dolphins, wasn't willing to, tamper, right? He's a man of class, a man of integrity. He makes my team better. Now, we know they'll never do it because he's suing them.
Well,
right?
There's actually there are a few other reasons why they wouldn't do it.
Why?
Number one,
he's the best
believe it or not,
candidate.
he's not, and I'll tell you why.
Go.
And I say this as someone that supported him as a head coach. Believe it or not, Brian Flores has never been a defensive coordinator.
Okay.
He was actually promoted from, I think it was linebacker coach with New England when he got the Miami job. Right now, if I'm the Giants, I want a guy running my defense who has a ton of experience, a guy who's done it before.
Well, he's a head coach. That doesn't count?
No. He has experience as a head coach. I'm hiring a defensive coordinator. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm hiring a guy who can run this defense, a guy who's done it before. And so Wink Martindale, Steve Wilkes are guys that have done that before. That's number one. And number two, I just don't know what the purpose of that is other than to prove a point.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The point, yes, and I think that's what a lot of the reaction would be. You're doing it just to doing it. You're doing it because you're afraid of the lawsuit.
Yeah,
you're doing it to prove you have quote-unquote black friends, that kind of thing. But I'm doing it because if you thought that highly of him to be coach, he's got to fit the bill to be coordinator.
It's a different job, though.
Yeah, but
don't you think it's kind of like why you don't hire someone to be a head coach, but you hire them to be a DC? I'll give you an example. Wink Martindale, who interviewed for the defensive coordinator job, interviewed for the head coaching job a couple years ago, didn't get it.
Right.
Well, they may look at him and say, we want him to be our DC, not our HC. And with Brian Flores, it may be the opposite. And the other thing is, and I think you know this, Flores is going to say no.
Is he?
Yes.
He is?
Yes.
You're offering him a chance to stay in the game as a coordinator.
Yes.
Which gives him, I think, a better chance
I'll tell you why.
to get a head coaching job next year.
Don't you think, and I know that you can easily attack this by saying Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl, but did Doug Peterson say, I'm going to take an OC job after losing his job with Philadelphia?
No, obviously he didn't.
Or did he say, wait a second, I don't need to do that. I'm going to wait a year or two or three, and then someone will call my name, and I will get a head coaching job. I think there are certain head coaches that say, I don't need to go back to being a coordinator.
And to be fair, he is getting paid for 2 more years. He's making millions of dollars a year to sit on his ass if he so chooses. But wouldn't that be juicy?
It would be juicy, yes.
And I was saying to myself, how come no one else came up with that? Because it's so brilliant?
It could be the fact he's never been a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, but
correct?
that doesn't bother me. He was a head coach, and he's from the defensive side. So to me, so also he coached under Belichick. So whatever he acquired from that experience, I think he'd be very competent as a coordinator.
Oh, no, I'm sure he'd be a fine defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
But right now, when I'm looking at who my next defensive coordinator is going to be, I want a guy who's got a ton of experience because I got a head coach who doesn't have any head coaching experience. I have an offensive coordinator that has no offensive coordinating experience. I would want to have someone on that staff who's done it before.
Well, also, a lot of times you hear about a guy who has a title that's not talked about a lot. Hey, this guy's offensive coordinator / assistant head coach.
Right.
They do that a lot.
Lovie Smith had that, yes.
Yeah, so to me,
associate head coach.
You make him defensive coordinator, assistant head coach. He's got head coaching experience.
He does.
So now Brian Dable can lean to him in a private moment in a conference room. Hey, let me walk you through this in your experience. How's this go versus that go? I think it's a home run all around. It ends the lawsuit. It lets us focus on football again, which we all want to do.
It doesn't end the lawsuit, though.
Sure, it ends the lawsuit.
It doesn't.
He gets you. By the way, you're allowed to drop a lawsuit.
Oh, no. The lawsuit can be dropped, but it won't be dropped.
Yes, he'll drop the lawsuit against the Giants at least. And then, listen, how about this? The Giants make him the offer. You can't say the interview was a sham. We thought so highly of you. We didn't know that we were going to lose Patrick Graham, so this is reactionary to losing Patrick Graham. Perfect. Perfect.
I feel so bad.
Wink Martindale, Steve Wilkes, Jim Schwartz, Desai, all very competent men, I'm sure, and none of them are going to make Giant fans moist. Brian Flores.
You know what this
he
reminds
makes
me
you
of?
wet.
I think it was over the weekend. Jet solved the math problem, and he was so proud of himself. He's like, Dad, 6 + 5 is 12. And it was difficult. I didn't have the heart to tell him it's actually not. It's 11. And I sort of feel that way right now.
So you didn't tell him, you didn't correct him?
I did correct him.
Eventually, you got to tell him the truth, right?
That's the way I feel about you. You have such unbridled enthusiasm, and I respect it. I do.
You know why he thinks that 6 + 5 is 11?
Why is that?
Well, because if you start with both fingers,
No, 6 +
hands
5
up.
is 12. It actually is 11.
What happened?
6 + 5 is 11.
What did he say?
12.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
Did you get confused with 6
I got
plus
confused
5
that he got it right or wrong. I'm sorry. I'm just so happy it's Super Bowl week, and we can not that we're going to break down every aspect of the game every day this week, but it is Super Bowl week, and what's really interesting, just to put a capper on all of last week, Roger Goodell sends out a memo over the weekend to every single team in the league, and I'm quoting it: "We must acknowledge that the results of our efforts to promote diversity with respect to head coaches have been unacceptable." All right, so I appreciate that, and he sent that to every team. But like 3 hours earlier, he said that the lawsuit had no merit. So by rule, it can't be both. You can't claim on one hand there's no merit to the accusation that we suck at hiring minority head coaches, and then on the other side say, hey, guys, you suck at hiring minority head coaches.
When I saw that statement, it reminds me of sometimes you say something, I say something, and then, maybe a day later you realize, boy, that was dopey. It's almost like the NFL and Roger Goodell realized that dismissing the lawsuit and saying it has no merit out of hand, hours after it was released, it's almost like it finally hit them. Maybe that was dumb. And it took them a few days, and it took a Saturday morning. Think about when it was released. A Saturday morning for the commissioner to say, let me address actually the issues that we have, that the lawsuit claims we have.
Yeah, well, we'll get into all that. We'll do basketball from the weekend. Not great across the board. Knicks and Nets. Nets obviously have now lost 8 straight. All the rumors circling about the Harden trade that we got to on Friday. The Knicks blow a 19-point lead to the Lakers Saturday night and then lose in overtime despite a great performance from R.J. Barrett. And we're in like no man's land in the moment. When it comes to basketball. Obviously, with the trade deadline this Thursday, both teams are in play only from the standpoint that Rumorville has the Knicks looking to make some moves, and the Nets, by all accounts, have denied having any interest at all in moving James Harden. So we'll get into all that throughout the day, and we got you on the horn. So let's get cooking. 877-337-6666.